Hello, it's Stuart here, and today I'm going to be doing something a bit different. One or two people have asked me about my eBay business, and they've said that it might be interesting if I talk about it. And I was thinking about that. It occurred to me that many of the principles behind atheism are very similar to what you face in business. I'll just explain that. So if you take, for example, the belief in God, or the claim a God exists, you put belief into that claim on the hope of a reward. And I suppose the reward could be twofold. For example, one reward might be that you experience benefits in life. You might feel that with a God on your side, if your belief in God existing is true, it might somehow skew the sort of chaos in the world to your benefit and give you an advantage. A bit like having a lucky rabbit's foot or something. And the other benefit would be, of course, that when you die, you could have life after death. Or at least in the Christian worldview, because obviously if you believe in Jesus, you'll go to heaven for all eternity. Now the problem with Christianity, the problem I suppose with theism, is that you've got a claim, you develop a belief in it, but you can't find out if it's true until you die. That's the problem. Now with business, you've got a claim. You start with a claim, or you start with a kind of hypothesis, or a claim would be, for example, I can make a good profit out of selling iPhones on eBay. There's the claim. Now you've got to have some belief in that claim to get going. Where do you get belief in the claim? You'd have to get belief in the claim by looking at the marketplace, seeing that there is demand for iPhone covers, and finding a place where you can sell them, seeing what price they sell for, and finding out what price you can get them for, to establish whether it's possible to make a profit. So if you can see the demand and you can get supply and you can see there's a margin, you start to develop a belief in this business idea. And then you've got to test it. This is the thing, you can't test your belief in God. How can you test it? How can you test whether your belief in God is true or not? You can only find out when you die, and if there's no God, you'll never find out. And if there is a God, you might find out you've backed the wrong God. So it comes to Pascal's wager. But with Pascal's wager in business, thankfully, you can actually test. You can test your belief in a product, and you can find out whether there's heaven or hell waiting for you. And that's what I like about business. That's why I've got no time for religion. You're backing, in my opinion, something that's really a loser. There's no point backing something and having a belief in it and investing time in it unless you can find out whether it's actually true while you're alive. And what really I like about business is that you can do that. So, okay, let's come to my business and let me talk about eBay. You know, I've been in eBay trading for 20 years, and I've been in online business really since it all started up. I bought my first URL way back in, let me see, I think it was about 1997, 1998. Yeah, so that was my first URL. So I've really sort of been in internet trading since the whole thing started. I didn't really get going on eBay as such until, let me see, about 2010. Now that was a mistake. I did not realize at that time that eBay was such a quality marketplace. Now a lot of you are going to laugh and say, oh, you must be joking, eBay, it's all scammers. No, it's not all scammers. eBay have got a very good system for protecting the buyer. So I can tell you, if you sign up to eBay and you use it to buy, you will never lose money. All the risk is on the seller, but more of that later. So why did I not come to eBay until about 2008? Well, the reason for that is because I was selling directly through my internet shop. I was in the watch trade. I was in the watch trade since about 2000, and I was selling various brands of watches from my own internet site, and I was doing okay out of it. It was in the days when you could start up your own website and you could be fairly sure of getting good traffic. Those days are over. Those days are absolutely over, but I'll come back to that. So the reason I got into eBay is because more and more players were coming into the market. They were opening their own websites and starting to sort of flood the market with the product that I was selling. Now that is going to happen to you if you happen to be selling something which other people can get hold of. It's going to happen. It really is going to happen. So yeah, I got into eBay around 2008, started selling watches through eBay, and eventually I moved out of watches. But let me just come to this issue that people, because they know I've been successful on eBay, a lot of people want to sell on eBay. A lot of people want a spare bedroom business. Just like a lot of people want to earn a living out of YouTube, or at least they would like a part-time living out of it. As has been pointed out, and you only have to study the statistics on YouTube and eBay, the vast majority of startups on eBay don't get anywhere at all. And not only that, but the vast majority of people who are making money on eBay are making very little for the actual effort they put in. And obviously the same is true on YouTube, probably even worse. Even worse. I know channels on YouTube. I like watching flight channels, flight disaster channels. You know, I like to know why airplanes crash. Okay, I've got a bit of a phobia about flying. But I like to see what's happened to airplanes, why they've crashed, and in almost all cases it's always human error, and that does worry me. But that's beside the point. I'm subscribed to a lot of channels which depict air crashes in amazing, they reconstruct them. They're virtually all good channels, and it looks to me like they've got 2 or 3 people working full time on those videos because they're produced to such a high standard. Now, I produced a video today. For the first time, I spent a lot of time on one of my videos. I mean, major time. It's like a 12-minute video, and I spent 3 hours on it. 3 hours embedding images, etc. And I started to realize, if you can really go to town on your YouTube videos, and there are people going to town on YouTube videos and spending a whole day making one video of, say, 15 minutes to an amazingly high standard, and they're getting very little return. And these flight channels, even those with 100,000, 200,000 subscribers, in my opinion, the return they're getting is barely worth the while of them doing it. Obviously, they're speculating that down the line they're going to be getting millions of views, and all business is speculation. It is all speculation. But you've got to try and be intelligent when you're spending time, when you're spending money, and when you put faith in an idea, and when you test it out. Of course, your faith will be proportioned to the amount of evidence you've got that your idea is going to work. You will have more evidence and you will have more faith in your idea when you start doing something essential called market research. And in the case of eBay, market research would be analyzing all the businesses which are out there at the moment. It will be looking at their sales, which you can do on eBay. You can actually see more or less how much people have sold. Calculating what their profit margins are, eBay costs, VAT, all those things, and working out how much money they're making on the pound. That is the crucial thing. How much profit is there on the pound, or if you're in America, on the dollar, whatever. And I can tell you that in my business, for example, I've just done my accounts. The amount of money that I spend on my supplies, the physical products which I actually sell, is £1 in for 25%. So for every £10,000 in sales that I've got, I've spent £2,500 in supplies. And I can tell you that is the absolute, in my opinion, that is the absolute maximum that you can spend and make a reasonable living out of eBay. If you think that you can just double your money on eBay, you can buy something for £5 and sell for 10, you'll be out of business. It doesn't work like that. Ideally, it should be 1 in 10. You buy it for $1 and you sell it for 10, or you buy it for $2 and you sell it for 20. Because with the level of expenses that you will have on eBay, if you're set up as a legitimate business like I am, you're paying tax, you're paying VAT, you're paying all the normal business expenses, will be so high that your profit margin will have to be really big in order for you to make a worthwhile profit. You need to be making a net profit of about 30%. So you take $10,000, you really have got to be coming away with at least, after all your expenses, $3,000, preferably $4,000. And that's not easy. I'll tell you why. Because eBay fees are huge. I spend, in terms of my expenditure, what I spend on eBay fees isn't really that far off what I spend on my supplies. It is absolutely enormous. Fortunately, because I'm VAT registered, I get the tax part back. So, and I'll tell you something, that eBay fees are so huge, and the amount of VAT that I pay on eBay fees, I'm able to claim that back. It's such a huge amount of money that, I don't actually pay that much VAT, because I make my purchases, and eBay fees are high. I pay a lot of VAT on eBay fees, pay a lot of VAT on my supplies, VAT on shipping, etc. And when you take that from your sales, you end up really not really paying too much tax. So that's not too bad. It depends, because in my case, I export 50% of my products. And on my exports, I pay absolutely no VAT whatsoever. So I'm quite fortunate in that sense. But for those who are mainly selling domestically, they've got a lot more VAT to pay than I have. So let me just come back to when people say to me, it's amazing how many times, if I had £1 for every time somebody said to me, I'd like to start up an eBay business and operate it from my bedroom just to boost my income. It would be nice if I could make, I don't know, £1,000 a month. It would, sort of help towards my expenses, go on holiday, that type of thing. And then people say to me, what can I do? What do you suggest? And I say, I've got no idea. I haven't got a clue. I don't know. It's not my job to tell you what to sell. I'm not going to generate business ideas for you. I generate business ideas for myself. But if you've got a business idea for eBay, you come to me and I'll give you my honest opinion. For example, somebody came to me and they said, Stuart, I've got an allotment. I'd like to sell garden seeds. So I said, oh, right, okay. And they asked my opinion. So I said, okay, I'll get back to you. It only took me 5 minutes. I went onto eBay. There are people selling packets of garden seeds for £1.50, including shipping. Thousands of people making absolute peanuts out of selling garden seeds. You can buy them for next to nothing. Organic garden seeds. You can buy them. In fact, you can even buy them from China and overseas for even less, like 99p, including shipping from China. And I got back to this person. I said, look, find something else. I said, garden seeds are worth hardly anything at all. The biggest price I saw was £1.50, and you will make absolutely nothing. Come to me with another idea, because that just won't work. They were disappointed, but I've got to tell people the truth, because I don't want to see people wasting money on business ideas that just won't work. Okay, I'm splitting this video. I don't want to be more than 15 minutes, so this is like part 1. And I've given some of the essentials, and I think I've given some good information in this video, mainly on the fact that you've got to use the same critical abilities that you've got in assessing religious claims. You've got to use those same abilities when looking at the business marketplace and assessing a claim. You will hear a lot of claims in business. I can sell this, I can make this amount of money, this will sell on eBay, blah blah blah. You will get all these claims, and then you've got to test the validity of the claim. And you've either got to develop a belief in it, or you've got to have disbelief in it. Okay, well, that's all for now. I'll be back again with another video maybe in a couple of days, following up on this and giving more specific information about my eBay business and about the sort of things that happens in my life with eBay. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.